Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I'm Michael Thrax, and welcome to the Neon Nightcast podcast, a weekly podcast where we talk about pop culture and stuff and such.
Stuff
Tonight,
and such.
stuff and such. Tonight, I am joined, like always, with my good friend Garrett Zagri and my eldest brother, Eric, the Doctor Soybean.
Or as I like to call you, the oats to my hall.
The
Okay, I get that one.
oats to my
Thought you were
hall.
singers or something.
Something like that. Country singers.
No,
Uh,
sir.
tonight's tonight's episode or today's episode, depending on what time of day you're listening to
You
this.
can listen to this whenever you want. It's your little red wagon.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Tonight's episode. tonight's episode is about is another branching episode. Let's call it. We are going to talk about Final Fantasy, the series in general.
The franchise, the phenomena, the way of life.
The little
Yes,
red wagon.
the way of life. So Final Fantasy is a role-playing game made by SquareSoft slash Square Enix. Uh,
It
what are
should
they
be
called? They're called
square.
JRPGs because they're Japanese. Yeah, they're video games. The first one came out in what do we look it up? 87.
87.
First one, 87.
And
Final Fantasy, the
Final
original
Fantasy
series.
came out for the NES. Um, I could go into like the little facts about Final Fantasy, but everyone knows them. Like how they called it Final Fantasy or something because the SquareSoft was going out of business and they thought it was going to be their last game and blah 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 blah.
That's that's the story anyways. I actually don't know if that's true or if that's just an urban myth, but
Yeah.
it sure sounds good.
Oh, yeah. It's like almost too poetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So, tell me, Garrett and Eric, what are your first played and favorite Final Fantasies?
Um, so I'll go first since you said my name first.
Sure.
Um, the first ones I remember, I never even played it until like the remake came out, but well, until it was released on PC. But the Final Fantasy VII, I watched my brother play it. That's like I never got to play it because I was too young apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched my brother play Final Fantasy VII and I thought it was fucking awesome. It had three fucking discs.
Yep.
Holy shit. And then what happened whenever I did decide I wanted to play it, disc one was scratched.
Oh no.
Didn't matter for my dad or brother. They were already past disc one. But me? No. I couldn't start because disc one was scratched.
You got F'd in the A.
So did
Yeah.
you did your brother really tell you it was like too adult for you, or that was just his excuse because he didn't want to share it?
No, um,
So that's
they
that could.
never said it was too adult. It's just that I was the younger brother, so I got yeah basically booted off, and he got to play. But it was always super cool. My favorite was my favorite part about it was like flying in Sid's ship on that big map. It's
Mm,
just back then
Yeah.
that just looked that was so fucking cool.
that ship is called the Highwind.
The Highwind, yeah.
Yep.
Um, that's what Riku wants to name the gummy ship. But
Wait, is that what? Then what does Sora want to call it? Excalibur?
no, maybe Riku wanted to call it Excalibur, and the default is Highwind.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So is
Um.
so is seven your favorite?
No. Final Fantasy
Oh.
Tactics is my favorite.
Ah, a
Like,
spin-off game.
yeah, I dude, Final Fantasy Tactics is so much fun. It's like an RTS style, or not turn-based. Turn-based. It's turn-based.
It's
Yeah, it's turn-based because yeah, everyone takes different turns. But yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite. I don't know why. I just have so much fun playing that game.
it's just
It's amazing.
it is good. Well, I've only played Tactics Advanced, Man, my mouth.
Advance. Yeah.
My mouth, man. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there's only been like three Final Fantasy games I've even played: Tactics, 7, and 10, or that
Uh,
I have knowledge of. So,
and you're forgetting one.
well, 14,
There you
but
go.
I also played 13.
No,
So that's like
13.
5.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
This is like
technically,
Eric and him saying he doesn't like slice of life
I'm
animes.
just, I just was counting the first 10.
Oh. Okay, yeah, that's honestly not including like the spin-off games. That's the only I only count the first 10. I have
Yeah,
just we'll get to that.
because two of the next five after 10 are MMOs: Final Fantasy 11 and 14, and yeah,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 15 just came out, or a year ago came out. So
So, Eric, favorite and first.
Well, the first I ever played, I guess technically was Final Fantasy Adventure for the original Game Boy,
Oh, what?
which if you really want to be technical is not a
Not a
Final
Final
Fantasy
Fantasy.
game. It's actually a Mana series game, but it was
Seiken
marketed
Denetsu.
under the Final Fantasy brand for its North American and European release. So I guess you can consider it a Final Fantasy game, kind of, even though it was not a turn-based RPG. It was an action RPG.
Yeah.
Um, but I really enjoyed that game. That's a really great game for the original Game Boy.
One, if
Um,
not one of the best games on that console.
on the original Game Boy, oh,
Yeah.
definitely. It's definitely like original Game Boy, Final Fantasy Adventure, Link's Awakening, and Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow.
Yeah.
That's by far your top tier of
Yeah.
Game Boy games.
Depending on
Um,
the day, I would say Final Fantasy Adventure because like that game is on like it's just so good.
it might actually be my favorite original Game Boy game as well. Just there's a lot to it. I mean, it's short, but what do you expect on a Game Boy game? But just really really fun, well made game. Even
Yeah.
though I guess technically not a Final Fantasy game. Favorite Final Fantasy game? Definitely hands down Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
I remember getting that game for the PC actually because at the time I didn't own a PlayStation, but I had played that game on a PlayStation before. Thought it was fucking amazing, and after finding out that they had a PC version, uh, asked for it for Christmas one year and got it. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll go into detail about the original about each game later, but yeah, that's definitely got to be my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one I ever played, I think, was 6. Like we downloaded it on the emulator.
You should clarify 6, aka 3 in the
Yeah.
US. But
It
yeah.
might have been 4/2 in the US. But the first one I really remember playing, well, I guess Adventure, but otherwise 7. 7
Mhm.
was the first. I remember it was, where was it? It was Nanny's house. Went down
Yeah.
to the basement. They had the PlayStation, and they had a bunch of games. And I must have known what Final Fantasy was, right? Because of Adventure. But yeah, just seeing that disc and being like, or that case and being like, oh my god, 7? There's 7 of them? And,
And that case with, Cloud with his giant sword
sword.
looking up at the city
Yeah.
and just really made you want to play it.
Yeah. And then, like, yeah, like, 7 has, like, an amazing intro. It just really gets you going. Yeah, so that I think 7 is really the first one I really remember playing, if you don't count Adventure. Um, but my favorite, see, Final Fantasy is the original 10 is like my shit. Like that's what I grew up doing, was just replaying all of those games all the time. And honestly, I could tell you I kind of have a 3 or 4-way tie of my favorite. I think honestly, overall, 9 is probably my favorite. But I really like 7. I really like 6. I really like 5, and I really like 10. So I guess I like 5 of them equally.
Well, if they're all your
That's not
favorite,
fair,
then
Mike.
if they're all your favorite, then you don't really have a favorite.
Yeah, I honestly.
But if I held a gun to your head, you would say 9.
Yeah,
I know you would.
I would
'Cause we've talked
cry
about this.
and be like, "Don't kill me, please, please, God, don't kill me." And yeah, probably 9. Uh, I just feel so wrong saying that because there's just so much good about really all of the Final Fantasies. Like,
Wasn't there a Final Fantasy that came out on PSP that had it was a prequel to Final Fantasy VII?
I know it's
Crisis
not
Core.
Zack.
Crisis
Oh,
Core.
okay. Yes, Crisis Core. I played Crisis Core.
Crisis
And
Core was really good.
Crisis Core is actually probably my second favorite. It was so fucking good because
So
you get to meet Angel, Zack, Sephiroth, and I forgot the other guy. The guy that summons Meteor.
Genesis.
Genesis, yeah.
Yeah. So Meteor. Eric. Crisis Core. You get to meet the rest of the first class soldiers, but so I don't know if you remember from 7, but Zack basically gets gunned down right in front of Midgar by Shinra's soldiers.
I do remember that.
So that's the final part of the game. Is you're like Zack, and there's just like wave after wave of these soldiers coming and just shooting you. And like at first you look like you can win because like you basically one shot them. But eventually you'll run out of like MP and healing items and you'll just die because you're supposed to die at this battle. And it's just such a great ending for the game because it ends with Zack, the main character that you play as, dying.
It was just such a great game.
And like it has
it like showed development for like not not just like Cloud, but like Sephiroth, but
yeah.
I guess Cloud too.
Yeah, no, you get
'Cause-
to see Cloud before he got fucked up by
yeah,
Zack.
because Zack was like his like mentor in the soldier uh
Kinda.
part.
Yeah, they were like buddies. Cloud always looked up to Sephiroth, but like I don't know, most people know, but like Cloud basically adopts Zack's personality. So then even after Cloud gets his personality back, you can still kind of sense the Zack in him. We're not going to talk about like the movie where they made him like a groaning baby, but you know, um, yeah, I lost my train of thought. Somebody fill in.
Also in Crisis Core, I didn't know that the Buster Sword, like the Buster Sword, came from Angel, and like passed down from
Yeah.
Angel to Zack and then to Cloud. And like the funniest thing, like the thing I remember most about Angel is like he would always say, "Make sure you keep your sword clean." Like he would fight with his fists, so he
Yeah.
wouldn't have to fucking dirty up his sword.
He would never use
He
the
would
Buster
only
Sword.
Yeah, he would only use the Buster Sword like in a last ditch effort. And then like fucking Zack and Cloud use it all the fucking time.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
Zack uses it all the time, and then Cloud kind of like disowns it because, through the game you get multiple different swords.
Yeah.
But
But then by 7, he's back to it.
No, you don't play as Cloud at all in Crisis Core. When I talk,
No, but I'm saying, okay, yeah, go on.
So in Crisis Core, you only have the Buster Sword. You have like this little sword that Zack uses at first. Something happens to Angel, you get the Buster Sword. At the end of 7, basically Cloud picks up the Buster Sword and becomes Zack. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of 7 and the movie, Advent Children, Cloud is basically just put to rest the Buster Sword, and it's like all rusted and shit. But Cloud never knew Angel, so he doesn't have the same respect, I guess. And I guess it's kind of like a gravestone for Zack. But then also Kingdom Hearts, Cloud has it covered in bandages, and it's fucking sweet. I love that sword.
That's like my favorite representation of Cloud is the one in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, because he has
like black wings, and then he's got the Buster Sword covered in
It's
bandages.
all rusted and it's covered in bandages. That's fucking awesome. It's
Yeah,
just so
because
cool.
I guess because in Kingdom Hearts lore ish, he was like dead, right? He was in Hades
I know that
or
Orin is
something.
dead. Cloud is probably alive. No, Cloud's alive because he's taking part in the competition and he's like friends with Leon and them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
All right,
that's Orin's.
disregard what I
It's
said.
Orin that's dead. Okay, so let's. We're talking about 7, but we're getting out of order. There's 7 games before it. So I guess I'll just take the lead because I probably know the most about all of them. Final Fantasy 1. I love it. It's hard as fuck if you're playing the original um, copy or a version of it.
Back then, they did not hold your hand.
Yeah, you can only cast certain spells per day. So Final Fantasy 1 is really highly um, based off in D&D. So yeah, like you can only cast like 10 level 2 spells.
Right. Well, we should mention all early RPGs. By early, I mean anything like after about 1990 or so. They kind of started, taking things from each other and
Yeah.
taking things from other RPGs, other mythologies, other movies, blah blah blah. But anything prior to 1990, you can tell it's very, very heavily D&D
Yeah.
influenced,
So Final
which makes sense.
Fantasy kind of did their own things with Final like the first one, but it is very highly D&D. But, they had to start somewhere. The thing that I really like about the original Final Fantasy is
Dungeons and Dragons, in case anybody out there is like, "What the fuck is D&D?" But yeah, go on.
is you get to pick your team of 4 characters, and there's 6 classes: fighter, black belt, thief, black mage, white mage, red mage.
Didn't
Um,
call him monk shit.
yeah, I know it was black belt, and then master is it. So then halfway through the game you get upgrades to whatever class you picked, and I always thought that was really cool. They didn't like force you to have anything on your party. Like you picked what you wanted, and I
So you
always
had
liked
four
that.
black mages.
If you wanted to, you could. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. There's people that have beaten it with a single white mage, which is like the lowest damaging class.
Yeah, but he has heals for days.
Barely. There's charges, man. There's no MP. I don't think ethers existed. I don't think elixirs existed.
Ethers and elixirs.
Oh boy. So then we get into Final Fantasy 2, and Final Fantasy 2 is kind of a fucking train wreck. It has an amazing story of like rebels taking down an empire. People are constantly dying for the cause and blah blah blah.
The way you always described FF2 to me, because I've never played FF2, but you always said the story was amazing, but the gameplay sucked.
Yeah, because so I don't know. Garrett probably doesn't know. So Garrett, in this game, you don't level up. You go into battle, and every action you do will put like experience points into leveling up what you're doing. So the more you attack, the more your strength goes up. The more you get hit, the more your defense and health goes up, and the more spells you cast. And it kind of sounds like a good idea, but unless you just like spend like the first 3 hours of the game kind of grinding, it's like
Yeah,
impossible to play.
because how do you get a tank? Well, I guess I don't know. I guess you don't really need tanks.
I think you could just I
Well,
from
if you
remembering
wanted
what.
if you wanted high health, you would essentially have to get in a bunch of battles and allow yourself to get almost killed.
Yeah, I think you could have your characters hit themselves, but that's still just like tedious. Like you couldn't most games, Final Fantasies, you can kind of pick up and not really have to grind that much. But that one, no,
Yeah,
you
that
have to
doesn't.
grind.
This doesn't sound like a good
Yeah,
combat
it was
leveling
not.
system. Although
Also,
one thing I found out about two is that it was the first Final Fantasy Fantasy to introduce the beloved character Sid.
Yep.
I was actually going to bring up that Final Fantasy series. There's all these tropes and reoccurring things, and that was the first one with Sid. I believe it was also the first one that had chocobos in it.
Yes, yeah, introduce
Yeah.
chocobos.
First one that had chocobos, and it's also the first reference to a dragoon. My favorite character in that game is Rickard, something, Richard, something. I don't know. I don't remember now. Fuck. Anyways, he's a dragoon. This is before dragoons use spears, so he uses Excalibur, and I don't know. I've always been in
Oh,
love with that
hey, his
class.
name was Rickard Highwind.
Rickard Highwind. Yeah, so there's your first Highwind.
There we go.
Wasn't connected to Sid, but
Yeah,
anyways. Final Fantasy 3. Still on the NES. It had a job system. So you're going after the four
that's like
crystals.
what Final Fantasy is known for most. I feel is job system, or at least that's what I associate job system with Final Fantasy just because Final Fantasy Tactics there's a
Yeah.
job system, and 14 there's a job system.
It's basically like the same thing. Like you have your four characters throughout the whole game, and you know, through story points of the game, you'll get more classes, and you can just mix and match and have them be whatever they want. The better version of that system is in 5, but we'll get there. 3, I really like it. It's not one of my favorites. It's just kind of fun. The story's kind of wonky and just
Would
all
you say
over
it's
the
the
place.
best of the three on the NES though?
Yeah. No. I'd say 1.
Hmm.
So I found out Final Fantasy 3 was the first game to feature summon. What's your favorite
Summon.
summon?
And Moogles.
And Moogles. Well, yeah, what's your favorite summon? Like,
I think I'd have to go with Bahamut.
see, I mean, that's like the generic fucking choice. Because
Uh,
Bahamut's like the most powerful. So
well,
that's not fair.
I also really like Anima from Final Fantasy X.
See, I'm an FF7 fanboy. I gotta go with Knights of the Round, even though it would take forever.
The 2 minute and 50-second long fucking spell.
Yeah.
So retarded, man. I
And
really like. What?
what's that summon from FF7 where it's like that ice chick?
Shiva.
Shiva.
Yeah, do you remember, Mike, how there's
Shiva's
that?
in every single one, but go on.
Well, I haven't played that many Final Fantasy. I've played about as much as Garrett, but specifically from Final Fantasy VII, there's that really unusual man who photoshops himself with various fictional characters, and one of
Yeah.
them was
Straight
Shiva.
up, straight up dating Shiva.
Yeah.
My friend Jen, she after we found that image, she photoshopped her like kissing Ifrit from that from
Did
that
she
game.
really?
Yeah.
Just to like,
yeah.
goof,
Yeah,
just as a goof.
Yeah, it's so
That's
good,
fucking
man.
hilarious.
So good.
That guy, he also made a Photoshop of what is it, Lugia, Mike? That Pokemon,
Lugia, I think.
Lugia, the Pokemon. He photoshopped him in a church, like taking communion, and he was like Lugia bows down in front of the cross, and then
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's so
he
weird.
photoshopped. It was like George W. Bush back when he was president, and he put like the word. He was given a speech, and he took a picture of it and put the word Pokemon on the podium and made a word bubble of Bush saying, "We need Pokemon."
Like we read some of his stories, and like that guy has like
I mean, like,
problems.
what, what, what do you, what kind of lifestyle is this guy living
Dude,
to?
it's like you feel so bad for him. One story was like he's walking in a forest and he comes across like a battle, like there's like guns going off and shit. It's like World War II or something, and an eagle like swoops him up and brings him to her nest, and he thinks that he's gonna get eaten, but then it starts like hugging him and like feeding him.
Yeah, and it's all about how he feels like safe and protected in the eagle's nest, and
And then
It's
he
just
fucks the eagle or what?
no. See, you'd
Oh,
think it'd
sorry.
go that way, but no.
Anyways, I'm getting sad now. So
Yeah. Oh god.
yeah. Anyways, you're talking about Final Fantasy 3.
Well, I think we're gonna move on to the Super Nintendo. Final Fantasy 4 or Final Fantasy 2 in the states is, my opinion, the most overrated one. Everyone loves Final Fantasy 4. Um,
I think most people prefer 6 over 4, but go on.
When did the Black Mages get their Black
iconic.
Mage icon? Yeah.
Final
Was it?
Fantasy 1, dude.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah,
All right. I didn't know
since
that.
day one, man.
White Mages also back then.
Yep.
All right, because like those are like the. I feel like those two are the ones that are most
Even like
recognizable.
that red mage class that's coming out for 14, like that look is straight from Final Fantasy 1.
I see.
So Final Fantasy 4 starts off really good because you play as a Dark Knight and you have a buddy who's a Dragoon, and that's like my two favorite classes
Fuck
from that
yeah, Dark
series.
Knight.
Like I and monks, but then he like turns to a paladin, and then it's all like, oh, evil can't be beaten by evil, and I don't know. It's just such like a good versus evil story, and it just doesn't really
That's
do anything for me.
that sounds trite.
Trite.
Yes, I don't know. Anyways, there's a lot of like death scenes, like people killing themselves for the cause, like in two. But then you always find them and they're just like hurt and sleeping in a bed, so it like instantly takes away from them like them
So it's
sacrificing
like
themselves.
whenever Gandalf sacrificed himself, but then he just comes back. You're like, oh
Yeah.
wow.
Okay, so there's a part in 4 where you're getting chased by an airship and you're underground in like the lava world, right? And you're like, okay, we're gonna fly up to try into the higher ground, like the Earth, the surface, and we're gonna try to lose them there. So Sid jumps off of the airship, okay, and lets a bomb go off, and it like blocks the hole, so you get out. The airship can't follow you. So they're like, oh, Sid's dead because not only the explosion and the fall, but I don't know, the fucking lava. So
He has lava walking.
so
It's
then
a talent. If you're a monk, you can walk on lava.
yeah, so later, you find him and he's just like in a bed sleeping, and you're like, it's just like, oh, okay, you made it. I don't know how, and it's just stupid. Like
And they never explain how he survived that.
no,
It's like Father McGrath. I thought you were dead. I was.
I was. It's just I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the story. What I do like is how you get 5 characters on your team. That's pretty cool.
Are they a set 5 or can you
They're
choose?
set 5.
So, what are their classes?
So you end the game with a paladin, a dragoon, a black mage slash summoner, a white mage, and a ninja.
That
Pretty good
sounds
lineup.
boring.
The
Should get
ninja's
a
fucking
Dark Knight in
awesome.
there.
The dragoon's fucking awesome. He's one of my favorite Final Fantasy characters. But yeah, the Dark Knight is so much cooler than a paladin.
Yeah.
IMO.
Paladins are just the generic class of boredom. Like,
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, I'm a warrior of light. I'm just gonna hit things with my sword, protect me light.
yeah. I played a paladin for most of Wrath. Okay, so World of Warcraft, most of Wrath of the Lich King, and most of Kata, and I never liked the idea of being a paladin.
I
So why'd you
liked
pick one?
the idea of being a paladin whenever they got Ashbringer, but I was already invested in my warlock,
Right?
so
I wanted to be a Ret Pally so bad, but I was a warrior at that point. Why did I pick one? Because
they look cool enough for you to like want to try out, and then you just
yeah,
get locked into it.
yeah, because back
Mm.
then it took a long time to level up.
And then also back then, only Alliance could be
I
paladins. Well,
failed No, see back
That
then.
was
So that
actually
was
interesting. That was just classic.
this was the end of BC. We were out of
Okay.
we were out of healers, and my guild needed healers, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a pally.
Dude,
I
just be a
just
druid. Druid heals are the best heals.
regardless, I failed high school classes leveling up that fucking pally.
Jesus, Mike.
It was stupid.
That was a good waste, a good use of your time.
Oh yeah, fucking Warcraft.
But
Don't
I
even.
mean,
Eric, he doesn't need you to criticize him now. It's over and done with.
Well, I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
dickhole.
I probably failed high school classes to stand out in the forest smoking weed out of a screwdriver. So
Wait, did you guys actually fail high school?
Hey,
failed classes.
I have my
I
high
failed
school
high school.
diploma. So
Oh my god, you guys are such losers. Only
You never
losers
failed-
fail. I never
you never
failed a
failed a
single class in
class?
high school.
you kidding me?
No.
wow,
No,
what
I
a
was a fucking
nerd.
A student.
What a nerd.
Yeah, fuck you kids. All right.
Dude, I would be
I don't.
walking to class and I'd see my buddy and it would be like, and he'd be walking the opposite way. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, we're not going to class today. And I'd be like, all right, fuck it. And just like skip just because he wanted to.
Well, that's my favorite story of somebody like that is this guy I was friends with. I actually failed enough classes that I had to go back for a year, like my grade 13, quote unquote, because I failed so much shit.
Yeah.
But I was friends with a guy who, in my grade 13 year, he was on his grade 14 year. Uh, and he would show up to school early to go sit in the cafeteria and play Magic the Gathering and Hearts. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I would skip a class to like smoke pot out of an apple or something retarded like that, but I would not show up to school early to play card games.
Well,
I have a confession. I'm sorry. I lied. I wasn't an A student. The lowest grade I got was a C in dual credit college trig. So
oh my god.
You're
All our
disgraced
fans,
your ancestors.
all our
Garrett.
fans just gasp like, he was lying? All right. Okay. So Final Fantasy V is great. Great story. It was the first game to have a main character. Yeah, I'll say a main character. Die.
Oh, spoiler alert! Holy
I didn't
shit!
say who.
You
So
said main character. I'm fucking on the.
well, there's four of them.
Jesus. I'll just figure it out. I'm on their wiki.
Oh, okay. So, five is great. It has a great story. The main thing about it is it's like three, where you get to pick out of a large assortment of classes to make your characters. But the thing that's great about five is that you learn abilities as your classes level up. So you can like be a black mage that also has white magic, or you can be like you can get like the dual wielding from the ninja and then make yourself a dragoon and then have two lances so that when you jump it does two hits of double damage. Like it's really cool to mix and match all your classes and just come up with like neat little combos and stuff. um
Tactics, you could do that.
yep. That's Tactics Advance is what I played, and that was much like five, and yeah, it's just so fun. Especially just having anything dual wielding anything, because for some reason dual wielding
Dual wielding
swords,
is
it's
dual
just
wielding is
amazing.
like the most overpowered thing like in tactics.
Yeah,
Because if you're a samurai, like so you're a samurai, you've got all this fucking health because you wear heavy armor, and then you're dual wielding like the heaviest weapons in the game.
yeah.
You do so much damage and you're super fucking tanky.
I remember I would always make the main hero in Tactics Advance dual wielding paladin. So just be tanky as fuck and just like basically one shotting most things with like holy
Yeah.
swords.
There were no paladins and tactics. There were holy knights, I guess.
Okay.
That's my closest thing.
Yeah. Tactics also has all those overpowered characters that you just
Yeah,
get
all
in.
the fucking overpowered characters that win the game for you.
So where are we? Six? Six.
Six.
Six is
Six pick up sticks.
pick up
Six,
dicks.
six. Put. Never mind.
6 has one of my favorite characters, Tara, or Tina, as we call her now. Apparently, that's like her Japanese or some shit, but I always call her Tara. 6 is instead of like picking from a large assortment of classes, you pick from a large assortment of characters. There's like, I'm sure you're gonna look this
I
up
think
right
it
now,
still
Garrett.
has. I think it still has the most characters of any Final Fantasy game. Correct?
For Final Fantasy for sure. I believe, and I could be wrong, but the JRPG with the most amount of playable characters, and just so happens to be my favorite game of all time, is Chrono Cross.
Mm.
Ugh. Fucking garbage.
I fucking
But
love Chrono Cross.
but 6 is definitely the record as far as Final Fantasy
Yeah,
games go.
for characters for sure. 6 is awesome.
It says there's 14
Well, Lufia
playable characters.
Lufia 3, for Game Boy Color, I think either comes close to or exceeds that. So depending on how many Chrono Cross has,
I
it might
think
have the most.
Garrett, look it up. I think it's like 46 or 48 or something.
Oh, are you serious? Okay,
Yeah,
never
dude.
mind.
There's like just too many fucking characters. I might be completely wrong with the 40 though. FYI. But 6 is I don't know what to say about 6. 6 is like iconic, man. Like it's amazing. It is most people's favorite game, but I don't think it's overrated like how 4 is.
Right.
Chrono
It's
Cross, the game contains a total of 15 playable. No, I'm just kidding. 45.
45.
Wow.
See, holy shit. I
That's
was
too
like,
much.
there's no way there's no
Like,
15.
why the fuck would you want 45 different characters?
You see, there are many different branching paths in that game, and
Alright.
you do New Game Plus, and then you can get like go down different paths and then get the new characters. And because it's New Game Plus, there's a point in the game where you can just get all the characters that you had on your other save file into that file.
So are there like some characters that are like, say there's like two mages, is the other mage that's gone down a different path stronger than this other mage that's stuck on this path?
Yeah, there are characters that are basically like unusable, like they're just garbage.
All right.
One of the best characters in that game is Glenn, who is a reference to Frog from Chrono Trigger. But there's like this really sweet sword, okay, and that's his ultimate weapon. But because there's two different dimensions in this game, you can end up getting two, and then he dual wields them, and it's fucking awesome. Like it's so
That's
cool.
fucking
Again, the dual wielding is just something about dual wielding swords is just fucking awesome. Um, so now we're getting
6.
into okay. Well, 6. Another thing I wanted to say is its villain is really cool. I really like Kefka. He's like this.
Kefka.
Okay, so the Empire started to experiment with magic and infusing people with magic. And Kefka was the court jester who was their first guinea pig. And he basically became like insane. And he causes a whole lot of mischief.
Also, between 1995 and 2003, any weeaboo who wanted to be edgy imitated Kafka. But go on.
Yeah. Well, let's get it.
That's a
Let's
fair statement.
get into the PlayStation because I'm kind of let's get through this so we can just talk. So the first one for the PlayStation was Final Fantasy VII.
Final Fantasy 7. You think we're gonna just get through Final Fantasy 7?
Final Fantasy
We all
VII.
have something to say about
Final Fantasy VII is such a fucking masterpiece. Okay, I will say right now the only thing I don't like about it is the relatively small party of 3 people, and I'm not the hugest fan of the materia system.
I understand, but I mean the characters, the story, the soundtrack of that game is amazing. The atmosphere it gives
has
you.
one of the most iconic game songs ever of Sephiroth's song.
Yeah.
like
Oh,
the
the
Winged Angel song.
the soundtrack is amazing. The City of Ancient song, when you're trying to like find Aerith, is just like, oh, it's so
Yeah.
good, man. Like,
But
Okay,
even the
well,
saving song, the song when you're saving is wonderful.
we gotta we gotta do this though.
okay,
Ares or Tifa?
Yuffie. No, Ares. Ares is my favorite. For me, it goes Ares, Tifa,
No, I'm just saying
Yuffie.
because Yuffie was never a choice for Cloud. I'm saying if you were Cloud, Ares or Tifa?
Ares.
Garrett,
Eric? No, Eric, you go next.
Tifa.
All right, I was gonna say Tifa too. I just didn't want to be the only one.
Dude, Ares.
Garrett
Okay,
Garrett's like scared to stand alone.
Ares.
Yeah,
Ares
I'm a
for
follower.
because Cloud does generally like her. Even into the movie Advent Children, he's still not over her. And then also, he's living for Zack, and Zack was dating Ares before he died. So it's like two reasons why he should be with her. But I
That's
guess he
just
ends
like
up with
one of
Tifa
those
because
reasons
Ares
is
dies.
very one of those reasons is very fucking creepy though. Like, oh, this guy I really liked was dating you and he liked you. So I'm
Because
gonna
of like
date you.
Mako and the life stream and the Genova cells, like Zack was kind of inside of Cloud.
Yeah, yeah, whatever.
So that game is fucking fantastic. Being a child and then a teenager playing it, um, the whole thing of like Cloud losing his identity and stuff just really hits home. Especially growing up, it was just like because you play it as a kid and you don't understand what the fuck is happening. You don't understand what they're talking about, and then you replay it when you're older, and you're like, oh fuck, this is like deep, man. Like,
Mm.
holy shit. Um,
So, let's make our parties. You pick your three. You know, Cloud's obviously one of them.
okay,
So who are your other two of the
I'm gonna go
characters?
last with this one.
All right.
Eric, you wanna go first? Yeah.
Well, I could go first. Honestly, my funnest team, I would use Cloud, Tifa, and Kate Sith. But realistically, because Kate Sith is the worst character, I would it would always be Cloud and Tifa, and then the third spot would be either Vincent or Sid. But if I had to choose one, Cloud, Tifa, Sid.
All right.
Interesting.
So, whenever Gabe played, again, I only played this game later, but I'm going back. And whenever Gabe played, we didn't have Vincent because he was a secret character or something,
Yeah.
Yes,
and
optional
we
character.
we did not get him. We did get Yuffie though, because Gabe tried really hard to get Yuffie.
Oh,
It
I
took him
bet
a
he
while.
did. I bet he tried real hard.
Um, but so Gabe renamed all the characters whenever he was playing the game, and he named Barrett Garrett. So
Aw, that's
I just
cute.
I just feel this devotion. I have to have Barrett on my team. Like I know he's not that great, but
Oh,
I have. I
whoa,
mean,
whoa! He's arguably the best character in the game.
I thought Yuffie was the best
We'll get
because
into.
she
We
could
could
get
get
that
into
multi
this.
strike at like that just does infinite amount of
We
damage.
we could get it. We'll get into this, but after
All right,
this.
well, all right, Cloud, Barrett, and then this one's really pretty hard because Red 13 was named Lucky, my lovely dog that passed away.
Oh.
It's gone. But that would probably be Cloud, Barrett, and Yuffie.
Okay,
So
Mike.
yeah, honestly, Cloud, Tifa, Sid. Like,
Oh wow, we have the
yeah,
same team.
yeah.
Weird.
I'm not a big fan of Red 13. Barrett. I don't like using like someone you get so early on. Uh,
You get
sometimes
Tifa
I'll,
early on.
yeah. So, but
That
sometimes I'll
sounds
use
racist.
Yuffie over Tifa or Yuffie over Sid. But I generally use those three. Sid's my favorite character in that game. So Barrett, his ultimate weapon, the damage. So all the ultimate weapons are really uh, weird, and they have like multipliers for different things. So Cloud is his max HP, Sid is his max MP, Barrett is the number of ability points on the materia equipped to his ultimate weapon. So he is very easy to get to do max level, max amounts of damages. But with an item called Hero Drinks, you can make it so he basically breaks the limit barrier and basically like one shot Emerald Weapon, which is the hardest optional boss in the game. Same thing with Vincent. Vincent's weapon depends on how many monsters he's killed with that weapon.
So you just grind him like infinitely.
Yeah. And then you have to use hero drinks, and then you can one-shot stuff. So Barrett and Vincent are kind of the
game
best,
breakers.
Yeah, the best characters in the game. If I was going to suggest to play, if one person was like, "Listen, I'm going to play one Final Fantasy," I'd say probably say 7.
See, that one's hard for me. 7 or 10? Because 10 was so fucking good too. I'm not talking about 10 part 2, just 10.
10 you know what's interesting, Garrett, is Oni Plays recently were talking shit about 10, and I was like, what?
I mean, they talk shit about everything, though.
I know.
Like, they talk shit about Kingdom Hearts. We both love Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, that's true.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here, though.
Okay, so 8 is garbage. That's not fair. 8 is okay.
8 was the one with Leon, right?
Yeah, Squall.
See, 8,
yeah.
8, my memory of 8 is a buddy of mine who it was a rich kid, so he always got the newest games when they came out, and he's like, hey, I got Final Fantasy 8, it's brand new, and I remember thinking how fucking amazing 7 was, and thinking, wow, 8's probably going to be awesome. So I went over to his house to watch him play it, and spent 2 hours of him just running around that fucking school, and I thought, wow, this game is garbage.
So 8, they wanted to do something different, and they wanted to tell a love story, and they also something about like high school dramas being really popular in that time. It's like a high school drama. It's so fucking surreal. Like there's like, oh god, like there's like a part where they all figure out that they went to the same, like every single character that you have on your team, they all went to the same orphanage as babies. And it's like,
wait, they're all fucking orphans? That's sad.
Yeah, and it's like, why is this part of the story? And like there's this whole shit where there's like,
is this Final Fantasy or Party of 5?
I don't get it.
That's fucking lame. I don't even know what to say about 8, dude. Like, I really like the girl from it, Renona, or whatever fuck her name is. Like, I love her. Selfie, no, fuck that. I remember one of the first time I saw a dick girl was a drawing a drawing of Quintessence, or whatever the fuck her name is, the other girl, Quintessence, and being like, what the fuck is this? Why does she have a dick? So there you go. There's that story. Oh man. So yeah, I don't know. 8 is just, I love the girl from it, the main girl. Like, I love her. So that's all I can say about 8. Like, it's not good. I would play 2 over 8.
There's a lot of characters from 8 that are in Kingdom Hearts, though.
Yep.
Squall, Selfie, Cypher. Well,
Yep.
actually, just 3, I guess. So
isn't that girl with Cypher from 8?
I don't know.
Okay, so 9. Final Fantasy 9, arguably my favorite game. It has one of my favorite fictional characters of all time, Princess Garnet. She is such a great character. She goes through so much development throughout that game, and it's just amazing. 9 is so much fun. 9, you go back to the classic 4-team party. You don't get to mix and match your classes or whatever, but, you know, everyone is clearly a certain class, which they haven't really had since 6. Um, you know, you got thief, black mage, knight, white
What's
mage,
that?
monk,
What's that? What's that
summoner.
one character that looks like strawberry shortcake crossed with a demon? You know who I mean.
Queena.
Yeah.
Queena's like one of my favorite characters in that game. Queena's the blue mage, and blue mage is one of my favorite mages. They learn um, abilities
Dude,
from monsters.
he just looks like a fucking blue blob with this fucking chef hat and a red
So
jacket.
good. Or sorry, she is so good.
Oh,
And
it's
a
a
red
she?
jacket.
No, it's like a non-gender thing. Final Fantasy
So
IX was
it's
ahead of its time.
It's a Z.
Yeah, they would always say like because that game was still text talk, so it would be like S/HE.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna see that.
Yeah,
Given the pronoun of S